Hello everyone, welcome to my first official episode on Sky Sparkle Project. Thank you all for joining. My name is Sky and this episode is going to be aimed to tell you guys a little bit about what Sky Sparkle Project is, how I came about with it, my whole storyline behind it, and who I am, and so you guys can understand my mission and what I'm trying to do for the community. To start off, you guys already know my name is Sky. I am an undergraduate student attending St. Leo University. I am majoring in communications and digital media influencer. I am currently 19 years old. I have a little brother, Lucas, who is currently 4 years old. I know that's a big age gap. So I feel like the best way to explain Sky Sparkle Project is to give you guys a storyline based off of it and how I came up with everything. So Sky Sparkle Project is filled with 4 elements, and the 4 elements are my program, The Power of Words with Sky, my initiative, Prescription for Prevention, my princess business, Princess Sky, and then I have my 4th element, which is dedicated towards my self-written and published books like Beautiful You. I only have one right now, but there's going to be more coming about and more goodies that I will have to offer. So my overall goal with my brand is to shine bright and spread light. That is literally my slogan. And it is really dedicated to empower youth, instill positivity and healthier choices. But as I am dedicating all of this towards the youth, it is for the entire community. I have more broader elements to my brand, but in all, it's for the whole community. Starting off, I was 14 years old. That was when my little brother Lucas was born. And this was transitioning from my end of my 8th grade year into my freshman year of high school. And honestly, when he was born, I just got empowered to be a positive role model in his life. And I just feel like my whole life kind of shifted. I grew up being the only child. I have other siblings, but I've never met them. And I really wanted to be a positive role model in his life, especially because we had such a big age gap. And when he was born, this was when my faith journey really started to occur. I didn't really notice it until my sophomore year of high school, which I'll definitely get into. God was handing me opportunities to become a positive role model, not just for him, but in other kids' lives, which was very important to be a positive role model in his life because he is extremely important to me. And that was when I was handed the opportunity to be a princess for children's parties and events. Because growing up, I've always been into modeling, a little bit of acting, and my mom actually brought it up. She found it on Facebook one day. She was like, "This would be really good for you." And I was like, you know what? That actually sounds extremely fun. Literally going to parties as a princess. I mean, it doesn't get girlier or more fun than that, to be honest. So I ended up interviewing, I got the job, I took some Elsa pictures, Cinderella pictures. I was like, wow, I love this. And I started going to more parties and events, and just the energy I would receive from children, because I'm not just a character showing up at these parties, I have to interact with them. The energy I was receiving absolutely made me fall in love with the industry. The enjoyment, the everything with these kids. Like, I'm literally who these kids look up to. They watch the movies. That plays a part in being a positive role model, which definitely gave me practice to be a positive role model in my little brother Lucas's life. So it's honestly been such a blessing. I fell in love with it, and now I wanted to start doing it on my own. And Princess Sky is one of my more recent things I have created with my brand. My brand has just been created because I'm incorporating everything that I'm doing together. But Princess Sky is one of the more recent things that I've been doing, but it's also the longest thing I've been doing because I've been playing these characters for parties and events since I was 14. Now I want to create it on my own, and that was how Princess Sky was born. So now I go to parties and events as Elsa, Spider-Gwen, I have Miles Morales, and I'm going to be having a lot more characters soon, but obviously starting off, everything has got to be slow and steady, but it's important to be persistent and persevere throughout everything because I'm passionate in everything that I'm doing. Fast forward to my sophomore year of high school, I was 16 years old, and this was when my faith journey started to skyrocket. essentially. Like, it actually was crazy. I joined the Miss America organization, and if you guys don't know, that is a leading scholarship provider for women in America. And in other terms, a lot of people think of it and view it as a pageant. My mom and grandma and I have grown up watching the Miss America pageant every single year. And obviously, we're going to root for Florida. And this was my first time competing for a team preliminary. And obviously, I was extremely nervous. This is something I've been thinking about doing for years at this point. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. But what I didn't know is how much is actually incorporated with it. I had to have a talent. I had to have an interview ready. I had to have a CSI, which is a community service initiative sheet. I had to have a fun fact sheet. I had to have a lot of components that viewers just watching probably don't think about. And when I had to create a community service initiative, which is actually the most important thing in the organization, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I've been involved with multiple groups and organizations throughout my school that promote mental health and prevention services, anti-bullying, anti-vaping, all of that. But I didn't know what I wanted to create my community service initiative on. And that was when I was like, you know, I'm always trying to be a positive role model in Lucas's life. So why don't I continue being positive role model with my princess stuff and other things? And that was when it hit me, and I was like, I need to start teaching children how to be nice and kind to others and themselves, because it all starts off when you're a kid and how you grow up, and that's how you speak. If your parents are speaking negatively, you're most likely going to speak negatively. I mean, that's just how it works. And that's why I wanted to go into schools and libraries and teach children positive self-talk, because positive self-talk, you're not only just speaking kindly to yourself when you keep practicing it, you're going to start speaking kindly to others, and it just becomes this whole evolution of positivity and kindness. And I kept doing research on this, and there are literal scientific studies on how positive self-talk teaching at a young age is going to affect children down the line positively. And it is proven that children are more likely to grow into strong, thriving teens and adults learning positive self-talk at a young age. They're going to speak kindly to themselves, to others, and everything. And when I first started, I was just teaching the positive self-talk, but obviously I had to do more. I had to have the kids practice it. And that was when I created these little sheets called I Am Sheets. Here are the I Am worksheets. I'm not really sure how it's going to look on your guys' end until I edit this. These are I Am worksheets, and each sheet has 5 sentences starting with I am, and the children have to end it with something nice. For example, I am beautiful, I am confident, I am kind. And going a little deeper, I also want children to practice pretty much their affirmations when it comes to their life too. So for example, if a child plays basketball or tennis, you want to say, I'm going to score 15 points at my next game. Or I'm not sure what tennis rules are, but I'm going to be amazing at my next tennis game. Just stuff like that, because when the children start practicing it, they're going to use it in their everyday life, and it's just going to become an evolution. That's how I first started with it, but as I kept growing with it, I needed to create a name. I first started off with my community service initiative name being The Power of Words, Love Yourself. But then as I kept going to the elementary schools and libraries, I changed it to The Power of Words with Sky, because essentially this is my program and I just love that name. And I will say, this whole journey with my program has not been easy. I feel like the way I'm explaining it like, oh yeah, I've been to so many elementary schools and libraries and blah, 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 blah. It was actually so difficult at first because there's a lot of rules with schools and everything, and not a lot of people want children to learn about positive self-talk, but it's okay. But also within my program, I read this book called My Magical Words by Becky Cummings, and this book is literally all on positive affirmations, starting with I am and ending with something nice, which is exactly the inspiration on how I got started with my I am worksheets. And I think it's such a beautiful book for children to learn and everything. And as I kept going with my program, and the Miss America organization, honestly, the Miss America organization is what really pushed me to get this going. I went in there not knowing what I wanted to do, not knowing where my head was at. But then once I found inspiration for this, at the end of the day, I have to thank God. And I was like, I need to create a book on my own. So I did. I created Beautiful You. And this book is about a pink hibiscus flower growing on an all-orange hibiscus plant. And as she is growing, all of the other flowers are making fun of her. You know why? Because she looked different from everyone else. And as these mean words keep accumulating, Patty the pretty pink hibiscus almost passes away. But a magical princess named Sky comes about and spreads positivity onto all the flowers, explaining that it's okay to look or be different because that's what makes you beautiful and unique, and that's what makes you beautiful you. And those positive words cause her to bloom and be beautiful. And all the other flowers and her are so happy. And it just showcases the true power and effect words have on all types of life. So yes, I will have all my links in my description as well. So if you want to purchase my book, please do. I love it. Also with my book, I read it for the Power of Words with Sky, and I also read it for my princess parties. So after I was fully committed with my program, I still am to this day, still love going to elementary schools, libraries, and even parties as Princess Sky to showcase the power of words, hold speeches and speaking engagements on the power of words, have children and the whole community do I am worksheets. I remember going to an event and it was filled with all ages, and I had everyone do the I am worksheet and tell me something that they put on it, because it's so important for everyone to learn, especially children at a young age, because they're more likely to grow into strong, thriving teens and adults. I will not stop saying that, and that is why I'm going to keep teaching my little brother Lucas. So a year later, I competed again for a Miss America team preliminary. I've never won Miss Florida or Miss Florida's teen or anything like that, but I have learned so much from the Miss America organization about myself. My faith has grew, like everything. My personal development has really shifted from the Miss America organization. It gets my mind going. It gets me to have goals and passion for things I may have never thought of before, because I have to think outside the box. I have to think for myself and for the community, which is such a beautiful thing. I had to obviously do another community service initiative, and I could have done my program, The Power of Words with Sky, but I wanted to do something different. I decided to create an initiative called Prescription for Prevention, which aims to educate others on opioid drug misuse. And I know that is such a more broader thing, especially if I'm teaching it to children too, but it is super, super important for children and the whole community to know and be educated on, because it is a reoccurring problem in the whole country and the whole world that people need to understand and take initiative for. And I also have a story behind it, which I will explain in my next video. I will give the whole story in my next video on how my uncle passed away from opioid drug misuse when I was only 6 years old. And I love to give my perspective on this, because when people think, oh yeah, someone passed away from opioids or prescription medication, they probably overdosed. But in my perspective, my uncle did not pass away from overdose. He passed away from opioid drugs, but the opioid drugs caused him to have a heart condition called atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is where your arteries and heart is clogged. And this happened from the drugs that he was taking, and it took his life. And he was only 27 years old. He was pretty young. And I love to give my story behind it, because I want everyone to have awareness on the situation and remembrance for anyone who has ever been through a similar situation. So it is very important to me, very important to my heart, and I will continue having speaking engagements and share my uncle's story and share the facts on opioid drugs and everything that's going on about it to this day, because it is something I'm extremely passionate about. Like I said before, my next video is going to be aimed specifically on prescription for prevention, sharing my uncle's story, and educating others on opioid drug misuse. That is what I do in all my speaking engagements and everything that I do for prescription for prevention. So please stay tuned for that. And I just shared with you guys my 4 elements with Sky Sparkle Project, because at the end of the day, this really is a project. It is something I am very passionate about, all of my components, all my elements. The Power of Words with Sky with my program, teaching children positive self-talk. Princess Sky going to parties and events as what children look up to, being that positive role model. Prescription for prevention, educating others on opioid drug misuse and sharing my uncle's story. And my children's books and all my other components within that, because this is all something I'm so passionate about, spreading light, shining bright, and just being that light for children to look up to, and the whole community to understand that you are not alone. There is someone that is always there for you. I'm very thankful for all the opportunities God has provided me in my life. If you're not faithful, I completely understand, but I just want to share with you guys a little bit how that kind of brought about my faith journey, and I'm very excited. I could even do a future video on my faith journey. I do have a website, so if you guys are interested, it is www.skysparkleproject.com. So if you guys are interested, I'll have the link in my description. Look, if you click right here, you got everything I have to offer: my Princess Sky, the Power of Words with Sky, prescription for prevention, books, and more about me. So if you want to learn a little bit more about me, if I didn't cover some stuff. And I also have ways that you can contact me. So if you guys have any questions at all, leave a question down in the comment section, in my Instagram, my Facebook. Everything will be in the description below. And once again, I thank you all for watching, tuning in, and learning a little bit more about me, what I have to offer, what my passion is, what my goals are. And I'm super excited for what God has in store for me and for the community. And I pray that this finds people well. And I pray that everyone has an amazing and blessed day. And thank you all for watching. Please stay tuned for my next video, because I will be sharing my uncle's story, and I'm very excited to share that with you guys. Thank you guys for watching.